Welcome to the Neuro Air Podcast, the show for cycle breakers, parents, young adults, and helping professionals ready to understand their nervous system through a generational lens, heal what isn't theirs to carry, and consciously choose what comes next. Hi, I'm your host, Leanna Hunt, an associate clinical mental health counselor and certified performance coach. Each week, you'll get stories, science, and somatic practices, plus my signature 4N framework: notice, name, nurture, and navigate, to help you honor resilience, break silence, and build deeper connection with yourself and those you love, all while shaping a legacy of safety, freedom, and possibility. Welcome back to the Neuro Air Podcast and Happy New Year. I'm your host, Leanna Hunt. I want to begin today by honoring something that feels especially tender and true. We are just 1 week into the new year of 2026. 1 week. And already so many of us are holding a complicated mix of emotions. And I want to name something right away because it's one of the foundations of nervous system work. 2 things can be true at the same time. You can feel excited about what this year holds and still feel overwhelmed by everything it asks of you. You can feel hopeful about new possibilities and also feel a quiet dread underneath, wondering if this will be another year where you burn out by February or March. You can feel the spark of, I want this to be different, and at the same time feel the weight of, I don't know if I can keep this up. Just remember, both can be true. And if you see on my desk, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see the and sign right behind me. Both deserve space here. Both of those things that feel true at the same time. There's excitement and hope, that spark that whispers this year could be different. And at the very same time, there can feel like pressure, overwhelm, and maybe exhaustion that feels like it shouldn't be here yet. Maybe there's even shame already creeping in as motivation has already begun to fade. And for many of us, there's that quiet belief, I should be doing better by now. So today, I want to say something that might be unexpected this time of year, but it's one of the truest things I know. There is nothing wrong with you. Because willpower was never designed to carry the weight of your entire year. And if your motivation is already feeling a little shaky, your nervous system is actually telling you something really important. That's why today's episode is called Why Willpower Fails. Your nervous system is running the show. And I want to walk with you through what's actually happening beneath the surface. I want to introduce you to someone that I'll call Emily. She's just a composite of so many clients that I've worked with over the years in clinical work and in coaching, and honestly, a reflection of my own story for a lot of my life. So maybe you're like Emily. Every January, she wakes up motivated. She's got the new planner, a new routine set, a new version of herself that totally feels doable this year. And the first few days, she crushes it. And she's so excited. She goes to the gym. She's waking up earlier. She's eating super clean. She takes all her new supplements. She's been writing down her goals and checking those boxes. And then by around day 4 or 5, something subtle shifts. Her body starts to feel tight. Maybe she feels a little foggy. And she starts feeling super tense, even around the people she loves. And then day 7 hits, 1 week into the new year where we are right now. She skips a workout because she's exhausted and she misses that perfect morning routine. She overeats, something that she promised she was never going to do again. She ends up scrolling for way too long and she snaps at one of her kids. And then that shame almost feels immediate. Here we go again. Why can't I keep this up? Why can't I just stay consistent? What's wrong with me? I know this place all so well, guys. The place where intentions are pure, but capacity changes without permission. And for years, I believed that this meant that something was wrong with me, that maybe it was a discipline problem or a willpower problem, or maybe a character flaw in myself. But here's the truth. Emily wasn't undisciplined. I wasn't undisciplined. You're not undisciplined. You weren't unmotivated. You were dysregulated. Your body was not failing you. Your body was trying and is trying to protect you. Let's talk about what's happening underneath the surface in your brain, your body, and your nervous system when your motivation rises and falls. I want to share 3 research-backed points with you to think about. Number 1 is the January motivation curve. This is a classic psychological principle that shows performance and motivation increase with pressure, but only up to a point. After that point, too much pressure causes performance to completely collapse. This is exactly why the first 3 days of January can feel super exhilarating and day 4 can suddenly feel impossible. You crossed the threshold. Your body moved from motivated to overwhelmed. And this is not because you failed. This is because your nervous system did what it is designed to do when something feels too big, too fast, or too much. Number 2, stress shuts down that prefrontal cortex, that logical part of the brain. Here's the part that still blows me away, even as a therapist. When your stress ramps up, even emotional stress, internal pressure, or self-imposed expectations, your brain releases chemicals that weaken that prefrontal cortex, that part of your brain responsible for discipline, for planning, for decision-making, for impulse control, and for follow-through. So this means that when you feel overwhelmed, the part of your brain responsible for quote unquote trying harder, it actually goes offline. Not metaphorically, literally. This is why you can want to be consistent and still not be able to show up the way you hoped. It is not a character issue, it's actually a chemistry issue. And number 3, self-regulation is finite in threat states. Another body of research shows that your capacity for self-regulation decreases under stress. Your nervous system diverts energy away from long-term goals and towards short-term survival. And willpower? Willpower lives in long-term goals. You cannot willpower your way out of a survival state. Your body will always win, and that's not failure. That's protection. I want to connect all this science to something I've seen for years. I go over this with my clients. I call this the January gym phenomenon. Every January, gyms across the country overflow. Every machine is taken, the parking lots are full, and there are literally people everywhere. And what happens by mid-February? It's back to the same early morning regulars. Every year, I think about this phenomenon as those people aren't at the gym anymore and there's less and less people and it's just back to the regulars, because this used to be me. This is the same mentality I used to bring in every single Monday when the new diet would start again. And here's why this is important. Most people are trying to change their behavior without ever looking at the beliefs underneath it. When I teach a client about change, I draw a triangle on the board. At the top point of the triangle, I write beliefs. On the bottom right corner of the triangle, I write emotions. And on the bottom left corner, I write behavior. Cognitive behavioral therapy teaches us that thoughts, emotions, and behaviors can influence one another. But over time, I found it even more helpful to focus on the deeper layer of those internal belief systems over thoughts. Beliefs are deeper than passing thoughts. They sit in the nervous system, and they run our internal operating system. Some beliefs can sound like, I'm not disciplined. I'm always the one who falls off. I'm not worthy of care. I can't trust myself. I don't deserve to feel good. And the biggest one I see is I'm not enough. So those beliefs actually drive our emotions, and those emotions drive our behavior, which means most people in January are trying to change the bottom left of the triangle, the behavior, without ever touching the top of the triangle, the beliefs. And this, for me and in my work and what I've seen over and over again, and this is why change doesn't last, because behavior that contradicts your core beliefs isn't just mentally uncomfortable. It is physiological unsafe for your nervous system. Your body is always scanning for cues of threat or cues of safety. And beliefs are one of the strongest safety signals to your nervous system to respond to. If the belief at the top of your triangle is, I always fall off, I'm not enough, or I can't trust myself, then your nervous system predicts threat the moment you try to behave differently. It feels unsafe to act like someone who is capable when your core belief says that you aren't. It feels unsafe to slow down and to take care of yourself when your belief says, only pressure keeps me worthy. So the nervous system does what nervous systems do. It pulls you back into the familiar. not because it's good for you, but because it's known. And the known feels safer than the unfamiliar. This is why behavior that contradicts your core beliefs eventually collapses. Not because you didn't try hard enough, not because you lack discipline, not because something's wrong with your level of willpower, but because your belief system sets the limit for what your nervous system feels safe sustaining. Your body is not sabotaging you. Your body is trying to keep you alive in the way that it learned to survive. If the belief says this isn't safe, the behavior will eventually shut down. And if the belief says or can learn to say this is safe, the behavior becomes sustainable, not through willpower, but through regulation. The other problem I see is vagueness, such as the goal, I want to get fit. It sounds inspiring, but your brain doesn't actually know what that means. There's no endpoint and there's no measurable outcome. There isn't a clear structure. And so that also connects into the nervous system not feeling safe. Ambiguous goals can create overwhelm. Overwhelm creates dysregulation, and dysregulation shuts down motivation. When we look at SMART goals, which is an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, they can help because they reduce uncertainty, and clarity reduces overwhelm. Reducing overwhelm creates safety, and safety creates follow-through. Small goals as regulation. Most people don't realize this. Small goals aren't easier because you're lazy. They are easier because they are regulating. Small goals do not activate the threat response. Small goals help actually keep your body online, and small goals can create safety. Your nervous system responds to goals like a frog in warming water. If the change is too extreme, your system, like the frog, is going to jump out. It will reject the entire plan. But if you can warm the water slowly, if you ease your way into change, your system relaxes into it, and your brain loves the feeling of completion. That dopamine hit reinforces belief. I can trust myself. Oh my gosh, I can actually do this, and I am capable of change. This is how small goals create big transformation. So instead of trying to overhaul your entire life, I want you to ask yourself, what is one small supportive change my nervous system can actually hold right now at the beginning of this new year? Maybe it's 2 workouts per week. Maybe it's 1 yoga or stretching session. Maybe it's drinking your body weight in ounces of water 5 days a week. Maybe it's adding 1 colorful veggie at dinner 3 nights a week. Maybe it's walking for 10 minutes after lunch outside to move and breathe. I want you guys to remember that small goals support belief. Belief influences emotion. Emotion shapes behavior. And this is how you build a sustainable year. This is where I want to tie in the 4 N's as a new way of relating to yourself. First, notice, what state is my body in? Notice that before the behavior, and name the state gently. I'm actually really overwhelmed, or I'm shutting down, or I'm super activated. Naming helps remove shame and can create clarity. Nurture. Before you try to perform, you regulate. So let's do that now. Just place 1 hand on your chest, 1 hand on your abdomen. Let your shoulders drop, even 1%. Take a slow breath in, and even a longer breath out. Let your jaw feel softer and let your body settle. And say to yourself, there is nothing wrong with me. My body is just trying to protect me. Say it again if your system needs it. There is nothing wrong with me. And then ask yourself gently, what do I need right now? Not for the whole year, not even for the full day, just for a moment. And let that answer be enough. This is how we begin again and navigate. From this softer place, choose 1 small next step. Not a complete plan, not a resolution, not a full January overhaul. Just the next right thing your body can hold. I want to widen this lens because your relationship with willpower most likely didn't start with you. Many of us come from generations who survived by pushing harder than they had capacity for, working through pain, having to ignore the body because survival depended on it, performing strength, shutting down emotions, and earning worthiness through exhaustion. They didn't have time for language, for nervous system regulation. They didn't have access to healing tools. They didn't have safety like you can experience safety. They had willpower, they had survival, and they had grit. And they passed that on to you. Not because they were wrong, but because they wanted you to survive too. And now you get to be the one to rewrite the pattern. You are the one who gets to listen to your body. You are the one who gets to choose to soften. You are the one who gets to create safety. You are also the one who gets to build a year from nervous system regulation and not anything that's inherited like pressure. You're not failing, you're repairing. You are repatterning a cycle by doing something your ancestors never had the chance to do, which is to heal. Before we close today, I want to leave you with a few questions that can help you create a new year goal that your nervous system can actually support. And these aren't your typical, what do you want this year questions or how motivated are you questions. These are neuro air questions rooted in the belief that your body, your lineage, and your patterns and your nervous system all deserve a seat at the table. So if you want to take this deeper, you can journal these later or simply let them land in your body right now. I've also added them to the show notes so you can return to them whenever you need. Start with your state. When I think about my goal, what state is my body actually in? Does this feel like hope or pressure? Is this goal too big, too vague, or too fast for my nervous system in this season? Then move on to the belief beneath the goal. What belief is driving this behavior change? Is it, I'm not enough unless I do this? Or is it, I care about myself enough to do this? If this goal succeeds or fails, what will I make that mean about me? And then look at the emotion. What emotion rises first when I imagine doing this? Is it overwhelm, excitement, dread, or hope? And what emotion do I want to feel as I work towards this? And finally, the behavior. What behavior am I actually trying to change? What is the smallest version of this behavior that my nervous system can hold this week? What would it look like to choose a goal so small it doesn't activate my threat system? When I'm teaching clients about change, I often draw that triangle we talked about earlier. At the top point, we write beliefs, and at the bottom right, we write emotions, and at the bottom left, we write behavior. Remember, most people try to change the bottom left of the triangle first. They try to change what they do, but behavior is the result of beliefs and emotions, not the starting point. That's why the January gym crowd thins out by mid-February. People are trying to change behavior without ever addressing the belief or emotion that sits above it. And your body will only let you live out that belief if it feels safe. So as you think about SMART goals this year, I want you to ask yourself, is my goal specific enough that my brain knows what to do? Is it small enough that my body doesn't panic? Is it measurable enough that I can actually feel successful? And is it gentle enough that I don't abandon myself in the process? Because when you choose smaller, more compassionate goals, you're not lowering the bar. You're supporting your nervous system to learn to regulate. You're creating a belief that says, I'm capable. I am enough now. I follow through slowly. I don't have to burn myself to become myself. This is how you build a year that lasts. So as we step into the first week of the year together, I want you to remember you are not behind and you are not failing. You are not undisciplined. Your body is simply asking to be included in the conversation. And when you can choose to build your year from regulation instead of pressure, everything can change. Stay with me this month. We're going to go deeper into what it looks like to live from safety and not survival. If this episode spoke to you, sharing it with someone who feels behind might be exactly what they need too. Remember that you are beginning, and this year can be a beginning for you too. And before you go, make sure you to check out the show notes. I added the research references from today's episode, along with all the NeuroAir prompts and the SMART goal questions to help you create a goal your nervous system can actually hold on to. Remember, your nervous system is running the show. And when you learn to work with it instead of against it, your whole life can expand. Happy New Year, friends. Until next time. Thanks for joining me on the NeuroAir podcast. This work is about honoring resilience in yourself and also those who came before you, all while finding freedom from what was never yours to carry. With the help of stories, science, somatic tools, and the 4 N's, notice, name, nurture, and navigate, you have a path toward deeper connection with yourself, your loved ones, and the legacy you want to pass on. If today's episode spoke to you, share it with someone who's ready to step into this work too, and follow the show so you never miss an episode. Remember, you may not have chosen what you inherited, but you can choose what comes next.